All right, guys, welcome back for part 2 of this series about headshots. So today we are going to be doing a quick and efficient workflow for doing realtor headshots. These could be for anybody, obviously, any type of professional looking headshots. That's what we're covering today. So we're gonna work through everything from importing all the way through editing, doing some AI stuff to speed up the edit a little bit, going from Lightroom to Photoshop to do some fine tuning, and then all the way to exporting. So thanks for joining. Now let's get into it. So first we're gonna get these imported into Lightroom and do a few little settings that are gonna help speed up your process while we're importing. So I've got them organized on here by person from the shoot already, and then just gonna drag and drop them into there. And as you'll see, because I messed up with my flashes a little bit, forgetting to charge one of the batteries, we had the background strobing in and out between shots because it was on full power. So don't worry about those. Normally all these would be more consistent, but we're just gonna be editing the good ones anyways. So just go down here while you're importing and go to Optics and click Lens and Chromatic Aberration Correction and apply that while you're importing. I like to do Build Smart Previews right here. That just helps a lot while you're editing, run faster on your computer and everything. So that'll take a few minutes to get them imported and build the previews and everything. But while we're doing that, I want to show you how big of a time saver it is if you rate your photos and pick the ones that the client likes while you're on site actually doing the photos. So cuts out a lot of back and forth communication that you don't actually have to do. So to see the ones that you rated and starred on the camera, all you do is just go down here and click rated, and suddenly we just have a handful of photos. So geez, this lens is really sharp. Look at all that detail. You can see all my skin. So if you want any of these to go away, all you do is just click 0 while you're on the image and it unrates it, and then it goes out of this kind of filtered selection. So we're ready to go. Here's how we had the background. Normally it'd be a little more even, but because I had to switch my flashes, it's a little bit uneven, but that just gives us an example to fix in Photoshop in a minute. There's my mom. There she is again. These came out good. For this video, we're just gonna do one per person. All right, let's pick my dad. All right. You can see how just little changes in the lighting make a big difference. That one's good, but I feel like it's a little bit too shadowy on the left side of the face. This one's a little bit nicer. I'm gonna go with one of these gray ones for me. So first step, we're just gonna do basic edits. So right here, main thing we're gonna do is click this eyedropper tool and do it on white on her shirt, or try it on the backdrop and get that evened out. So it's a little bit off just from like reflections and stuff in the house. So that's gonna give you really nice color. He's got a white shirt. Yeah. Nice accurate color is what you want. So now I'm gonna go ahead and change the color profile actually to Adobe Portrait on all of these, because it gives it a little bit of a better look in the end, I think. So for the ones that you want to be super clean, we're gonna go ahead and up the whites to where this histogram right here goes all the way to 100. So it should have had it a little bit brighter in camera, but that's okay. See, already that looks a lot more lively. We're gonna go with the blacks, push this part all the way down to 0 a little bit darker, and depending on how the portrait is, this one came out a little contrasty, so I'm gonna lift the shadows a little bit and tone down the highlights just a little bit, because that's what I think looks good. So you could also do most of that just by changing the contrast, but I'm just gonna keep that as is. One trick you can do is do this dehaze down just a little bit and turn your texture down just a little bit, and that's going to soften your tones just a bit, like the mist filter normally would. I'm just going to up the saturation a tiny bit to, got it at 10, so that's going to bring it a little bit more liveliness to the colors and everything, because portrait mode kind of tones it down a bit. Okay, we're going to go up the skin tones, up the red, up the orange, and depending on how your background looks, you could tone down the yellow, but that's going to mess up the hair, so I'm just going to tone it down a tiny bit. And for this one, we could go more blue or less blue, depending on what you want. And that's going to be pretty good for me. Maybe a little bit of purple for the lips, probably. It's going to come out a little bit. And depending on how your flash turned out, you could also change the luminance a little bit. So I'm going to up the blue a little bit so that the eyes pop more. If you do this, you can up the skin tones usually. And if you adjust something and it doesn't do anything, you could just click this luminance little selector and click it and slide up and down, and that's going to change just that color that you click. So that actually worked pretty good. So here's what we got so far for before and after. So here we go, reset. That's just straight out of camera, and then that's what the edits we did so far. I think it looks a little bit cold, so I'm going to go up to 57, 50. That looks good to me. So one benefit of setting up all these flashes and keeping it pretty consistent from shot to shot is once you edit your first one, you can probably copy it over to the next one, and it's going to look pretty good. So this one was a little bit brighter background because I was tweaking the settings. All right. If you want to jump into a chat and talk about this with more people in the industry, I have a really cool Discord server where we got lots of people in there talking about their work, sharing their work, getting constructive criticism, sharing inspiring work, what they're learning behind the scenes, and all sorts of good stuff. And I'll have that link down below the video too. But it's on Discord and it's free to join and try it out, see what you think. Hopefully you'll get some value from it and want to stay. So anyways, basic adjustments. Here we go. See if that copies over to me. A little bit different. I just wanted to get it nice and bright looking without being too anything. So that's the basic adjustments. As you can see, working with Flash makes it to where you hardly have to do anything in Lightroom, which is amazing. So before we bounce this to Photoshop, there's a couple of AI tools in Lightroom that are really helpful. So you can just click right here, this masking, click that, and if you click subject, it's going to auto detect this, especially because it's so crispy and clearly defined. And from there you can just make any adjustments to just the person that you want to, or you can create another mask and select the background if you want to adjust that from there. So if you want to just make that really white, you can do that in like 2 seconds. Or if you want to make it colder or warmer or desaturate it, there we go. Here's another example. If you want to make the background darker, mine's going to be easy because of my hair, but you just do that. I can make it white if I want to, but I just want to leave mine about like there. I want it to be a little bit darker than my shirt that I was wearing so that I stand out and pop a little bit more. Okay, so in order to be nice to my parents and not overexpose them to the internet, I'm going to do retouching on my photo and show you guys this for example. So now we're going to launch this over to Photoshop. You can do Command E, or you can do select the photo and then click Photo, then click Edit In and click Edit in Photoshop Beta. So here's me. First thing I'm going to do is fix this backdrop. So I'm just going to go Selection tool and highlight this, and with Generative Fill, I'm just going to click Generative Fill, click Generate. This is super handy now because you could do this to extend your backdrop a lot if you're doing like a full body shot and it wasn't quite big enough. Super, super helpful. Looks great. It is very impressive how good that stuff works. Honestly, this one looks good as is because we got the lighting really good, but I'm going to show y'all a few things that I like to do. So we're going to do a little bit of frequency separation to even out skin tones and get rid of any blemishes or like weird skin things that were happening that day, or like flyaway hairs, or like if someone has one hair in their face, this makes it really, really easy to edit out. And then we're going to do a little bit of dodge and burn. If you know what that is, we're going to make some parts a little bit brighter, some parts a little bit darker, to just add a little bit more kind of contouring, shaping to the picture. So if you don't already have this set up, I'm going to show you how to set up a frequency separation action from scratch, so that when you do these with multiple people in the future, from project to project, you can just go in here and click actions. You just go to window, actions, and then on here you're just going to be able to click it and it's going to make several layers automatically, and you can just go in and edit little things and then save it back and then go back to Lightroom and do some final touches and be done. So what you want to do is make sure you have this all flattened. So I went in and clicked flatten image, and then I'm going to click create new action. You could set a function key if you want to, and as you see, it is recording everything we do. So what you're going to do is go in here, drag this and duplicate it, and then click it again, duplicate it, and then on the bottom layer we're going to go in and click filter and Gaussian blur, and this is going to be the layer where we're editing just colors. So you want it to be kind of simplified a little bit to where you can just see the colors. So that looks good to me. I'm going to click OK. We're going to call this layer color, and then click the top layer, and we're going to go to image and apply image, and we don't want it to look like that, but what you want to do here is change this to color, and then change the blending mode to subtract, and then for your scale, change this to 2, change the offset to 128, and then we're going to click OK, and then we're going to change this to linear light right here. So then after that, we're going to go here and click stop recording, and it saved all the things we did. So now that's done. So what this did is separated on our bottom layer, it's just the color. We're just going to be able to edit the color in there, and then we can edit just the texture on the top layer. So look at all that texture, it looks insane. Okay, so the main thing that you're going to do with this is if someone just has some really bad skin texture on something, or if you want to get rid of wrinkles, this is a good example. I'm not going to get rid of this because I like things to look realistic, but you can do that and it just easily fixes it. But that's just real life, man, so I'm not getting rid of that. The best thing that this is good for is actually editing color under the texture. It's almost like doing makeup. So for this, I like to use the clone stamp, which is right here. You can do S as a shortcut, and I like to even out people's skin tone under their eyes just a little bit. I use some tinted lotion to do that in real life. See how it doesn't affect the texture? It's pretty crazy. Maybe my skin tone's a little bit inconsistent, so you can do all this stuff under the texture without, you know, like painting over it and making it look fake or anything like that. So we can go in here, my nose is a little bit dried out and stuff, so I'm using my healing tool, and I've just got this set at a pretty low opacity so that it is gradual. And then look, so we got the skin tone evened out, and now we're going to go into texture, and I will fix this stuff a little bit. So Very simple once you get it set up, actually. My main goal with doing any retouching is not to make someone, look different than they actually look, just to kind of simplify the image a little bit and give them some grace if, their skin's got some weird issue that one day and it's not the best way to represent them. So, for example, I've got some little whatever spots on my head, so I'm sure this is fun to watch, but basically I'm just going through and getting some of the texture cleaned up. So that's the main stuff that I do. If you got any random huge pores, that's good to get rid of. Just because these people are going to be using these headshots for years usually, so it's nice to put in a little bit of work. Your work's going to be on display for a while basically, so it's good for you too. All right, this is a great place where you can whiten people's teeth a little bit. So go into your color layer and you can even just like select the whitest part and add just like a tiny bit if there's yellower parts. This all looks pretty good to me. Just stuff people miss on a day-to-day basis is what you want to clean up. So I'm just getting rid of like little red spots. My skin's pretty sensitive, so who knows what it's from. Clean that up. See, like I got one random thing on my ear. I don't think I've ever seen my ear like this. That's crazy. All right, so that one's done. So, see, as you can see, we just brightened around the eyes just a little bit and simplified how the face looks just a tiny bit to where it looks a little cleaner. So now we're just going to flatten the image and do a little bit of dodge and burn. So right here, burn tool, you can use O to pull it up. And what I like to do with the burn tool is to just do a little bit around the jawline, around the eyebrows, and sometimes on the lips. Looks good because it makes them look more lively. And then I'm just going to switch to dodge tool, same spot, and I'm going to boost the eyes just a little bit because that makes people look more lively and healthy. Okay, so that whole area, depending on how your flash turned out, the white part of the eyes is a good place to boost. This little part apparently is important in art and everything. Looks pretty good. So now you want to make sure this is all flattened. It says background layer. It's all one layer, and you just click Command Save or go File, Save, and saves down here, and it's going to automatically launch it back to Lightroom. Normally this would take me a couple minutes, but since we set everything up and I was explaining it all, it's a little bit slower. But we went from this to this. So pretty big difference, and I would say that one is done, ready to go. You could crop it, but I found that for headshots, as long as you have it framed right, it's kind of good to deliver less cropped ones that are shot a little bit wider because those people can use it for a lot of different things. So it'd be nice to have my full arms because then, as you guys know, realtors use these for all sorts of branding materials. Like they'll put it on flyers, they'll put it on their signs, it's photoshopped of them standing in front of a house or whatever. Having more room is really, really beneficial. Okay, so that's all the steps. Now I'm gonna go through and do my dad's headshot. So we're just gonna do Command E, bounce this over to Photoshop, and I'm gonna try to keep this more real time for you so that it's a better example. All right, he's in Photoshop. There's Mr. Rick Brown. Actions, dodge and burn, play, hide this, and we're in. So for him, I'm gonna even out his skin texture a little bit. I mean his skin color. He's got a little bit of red splotchiness sometimes. So that is really easy to do. So this is a good example. So I'm gonna up this to about 50% opacity, And we are on the color layer, just copying over color from the part where it looks how we want it to look. I think he was just blushing because he's on camera. He got nervous. Okay, so that looks like that's pre-fixed. Okay, so I'm going to go in and fix a little bit of the texture. So you could get this kind of stuff, like on his glasses, they're a little bit scratched or whatever, and compared to doing this on the full photo, this is a lot cleaner results if you're using frequency separation. So I'm just doing this quickly. This video is more geared for doing like a whole office of realtors or doing like a realtor event where there's a lot of people coming in, like 50 to like 100 people. So you're going to be editing a lot of photos and you just want to spend maybe like 5 minutes per photo. So you're not trying to make these like the perfect photo of that person. So just clean up the glasses a little bit, and now I'm going to get some of these little skin marks. So this would have been easily fixable with like some tinted lotion, like what I use on mine, but he didn't use it, so it's fine. If you do have skin like this, where it gets red and splotchy sometimes, like as a reaction to things, I'll link below the video that kit for all the things to take to photo shoots. I'll use my tinted lotion before filming YouTube videos and actually pretty much every day. I just like having it look consistent and taken care of. So anyways, just using the spot healing tool and clicking away. So you got some little white spots. Hopefully he doesn't mind being on camera like this, but he'll like the photo. He's gonna put it on his website. Shout out to my dad's business. If you need a wedding officiant, my dad is doing that, and he's really, really good at it. He's got like, 20, 30 years of experience doing weddings. So if you want this cool looking dude to come and do your story, he'll do an interview with you and find out how you met and everything and write it into a story because he's a really good writer. He'll add some jokes to where you'll have fun at your own wedding, and he will basically make sure that your audience, all your family members and stuff that don't see you that often, get to actually learn about you at your wedding instead of just some, outdated traditional things that they might not care about. I'll link it down below, but it's called Storybook Wedding. And he is open to traveling anywhere if it works in the budget and the schedule. And we actually did some cool videos of, like highlight videos of a few weddings that he did in Virginia. So if you want to see some cool video work, that's pretty fun. So I'm only doing more work because this is my dad and I know he's going to use it. So he's got like an eyelash in his eyeball. Goodness, poor guy. So texture layer, once again, we're just getting rid of a little bit of that texture. You don't want to get rid of too much, then it starts looking fake, but there we go. So I'm going to go in and get the brush tool and add a little bit of white. So let's get the white from the flash reflection. Just painting it in a little bit. Let's get these teeth just a little bit. And on the color layer, I'm going to saturate the lips just a little bit. So we got 13%. Let's see if that works. Just bring a little bit of life to those lips. And bring a little bit more color to the eyeballs. Man, his eyes are a lot more blue than mine. Okay, so beautiful. So if you wanted to, you could fix like the shirt texture and stuff. So I'm going to go on the color layer and actually see if that works, because the texture on cloth is pretty important to keep. As you can see, we kept the texture. Okay, looks really good. So also, oh, I'm gonna go in and do a tiny bit of eyebrow stuff too. So once again, gets a nice normal hair color, and we're at a low opacity. I'm just gonna add a tiny bit. Okay, so now we're gonna flatten it, and I'm gonna dodge and burn just a tiny bit. So on this, we got really soft lighting, so I'm gonna go in and accentuate the jawline just a little bit. Accentuate that dimple. Once again, the eyebrows a little bit. And his hair frames the head really good. I really like this. Now we got that, Command S, and it's done. So let's go over the before and after real quick. So here's mine, straight out of camera, before, after editing. Brought it to life a little bit, simplified it a little bit, accentuated the eyes especially just a little bit more, and the face shape just a little bit more. So just kind of accentuated natural features and left it looking realistic. Still plenty of skin texture and hair texture, all that stuff. Okay, so my dad's before and after. So just a little different. Still looks like him. I didn't change anything structurally. Just made it a little bit glamorized. And here's my mom's. Nice little smirk. Before and after. So now we're going to export it. I'm just going in and selecting all the finished ones, and we're going to go to File, Export. No. All right, now we're ready to export. So just go up to File. Actually, a couple little quick things that I like to do before exporting. This one I'm going to fix the crop, so I'm going to change this to 5:7 because I got too much on the top, and that looks a lot better. So we got him. Do I need to crop mine? No, mine's fine. My mom's fine. So we're going to go to File, Export, and then click back into our folder and go Edited, and click Choose, and then I'm going to call this probably 2024 headshots. And you could put their name if you wanted to, if you know it. So then this is kind of my standard. I like to export with the long edge being 4500 pixels, 300 DPI resolutions, sharpen for screen, high, and include the metadata and show in Finder after it's exported. So then we click export and we're done. All right, so that is it for the headshots. I think they came out really good. Unfortunately, I messed up with charging my flashes and had to do some workarounds to do the background flash and didn't end up getting to do 3. But it just goes to show that you really only need 2, and especially if you have a 5-way reflector with the white to fill in the face and make it even softer, you can do some really nice pro looking work. And one more thing, leave a comment down below. Which parent do you think that I look more like, or do I even really look like my parents? I'm curious to see what y'all think. Anyways, make sure to check out the links down below the video and check the kits if you're looking into getting gear for this. I've got lots of recommendations for what I use. I'll link the stuff that I use that actually works how I want it to work, not what I actually ended up using. But anyways, I hope to see you in the Discord community or in the comments. And as always, I look forward to seeing you on the next video. Peace.